So about ODX. ODX is a company that has been made in 2004. Actually, it started as Underground Design. Underground Design was owned by Eric Belak. So it was a company that was making body kits for cars in the Fast and Furious times. It was one of the only importer of body kits in Canada. So he was doing body kits, lips, wings, fenders, and everything. And he started to do some HIDs. He called ODX because of Underground Design, so OD, and X was for Xenon, so Xenon Lights HID. So he came out to ODX, and then the years passed, and we switched over. HID was a mess to deal with. It was always like defective and having issues with ballast, and it was big to install. So we switched over to LED. I would say about 7 or 8 years ago. When we first started the LEDs, it was mostly to get the most power out of the LED that we could, because it wasn't, the first one weren't comparable to an HID. It wasn't strong enough, it wasn't powerful enough, and people were kind of complaining about the output efficiency of the LED versus the HID. But the time passed and technology went in and drivers were stronger and LED chips are stronger nowadays too. So we're kind of nowadays, I can say that the HIDs and the LEDs are pretty much comparable. So the same power output as what it used to be for an HID light. What we want to do and what we try to do more and more, now that we've got the power output is pretty good, we want to reduce the size of the ball as maximum as possible. So as you can see with the, for example, I'll show you more explanation of the Brid later. But as you can see, for example, this one is an H13, so it's exactly the same size as an halogen light. So it's easy to install and it fits everywhere. The problem we had with the external ballast before with the old lights, it was kind of harder to install. When there's a cap, it won't close. There's a lot of issues that we had there. So we're trying to reduce the size as much as we can to make it fit everywhere. Now that we have like the great power output that we have. All of our bulbs are lifetime warranted. So the whole series are lifetime warranted. We started the lifetime warranty about 5 years ago. With the X3 series, now from the retro to from the Spark to the Intense series, and we just switched our warranty policy. It's going to be live on September 1st this week. So what used to be done is all distributors were taking care of their own warranties, and we had a lot of complaints about a certain distributor in Western Canada that we used to deal with. I'm not going to give you names. So people were complaining that we're waiting for like 6 months, 8 months to get their replacement back. So customers were riding with a burnt bulb for 6 months, which doesn't make sense here because we didn't know how the roads were here before we came in yesterday. But you better have your 2 headlights when you're at night. So we just switched over to warranty program. It's a 2-speed. It's actually a 3-speed program for DEX. So either the distributor, so DEX. Either the dealer or the consumer can get his bulb claimed by itself. So the only thing that needs to be done is go on the rma.odx.ca website, and then you can choose if you're a dealer or a consumer. Dealers, it's free of charge, so it's going to be shipped out from Montreal to their place directly. And for a consumer, it could be shipped to their place too. Consumer, it's free of charge for the first year. After a year, there's an handling fee of $14.99 to cover up for handling and shipping and handling for the shipment of the replacement bulb. If for any reason, let's say we got a Spark 9005 and one is burnt out and it's back ordered at our place to get it replaced, we're going to send something equivalent or better to the customer directly or to the leader. So if it's a Spark and we have, let's say, a Retro, which is like a lot more expensive, and we're going to switch the whole kit instead of just one bulb under the same claim.
So in that respect, probably preferred to send the customer directly to ODX?
I wouldn't say that. I would say it's like 60-40. 60% of the dealer wants to do it themselves. Right. They want to give a service to the customer. They want to make sure it comes back and maybe sell something else to that customer. Most of them are installing them too, so they want to charge back for installation. But yeah, there's some dealers that, like mostly auto parts. Auto parts doesn't install anything. They just want to make a sell, and 2 years after, they don't want to take care necessarily of the warranties and everything. It's not that we have a lot of warranties. Honestly, it's 102% rate for all of our products, except one which has been fixed, which was the ODX H4. That we had an issue with the chipset that has been fixed. So most of them are all under 2%, which is really low. So usually, it's mainly auto parts that will have to the customer to do their own warranty. We had a couple of couple of times that the customer moved from, let's say, Montreal to Alberta, then it's kind of hard to get back to the dealer where you bought the bulbs from. So that could be a really good thing to have it done directly from the customer. Okay, so we have a lot of tools, and the website is the main tool to use for ODX. On our website, there's a database. With the database, there's most of the information for all the dealers to be on and to look at when you want to sell a bulb, even the customers. For example, if you click on a car, like let's say a 2015 Ford F-150, you don't need only the bulbs to get it installed. You also need a cap that is extended because it doesn't fit with the original cap. So the website's always going to tell you what it needs. If it's a Ram 2015, you'll need decoders, you'll need relay harnesses to make it fit and make sure the computer doesn't shut off the bulbs. It's actually pretty much the same thing as the ProWorks was used to be, but it's a bit more, I would say, detailed. And there's a lot more accessories available through ODX too.
Just want to show you guys a little quick how to work with the website. Yeah.
Okay. So on the website, there's also tools. So there's a resistor finder. When you're installing mini bulbs, like turn signals or a car that has a CAN bus system that tells you in the dashboard that there's a burnt bulb, you need to install what is called a resistor. And the resistor finder on the website is the best tool to figure out which one you need and when you need one and when you don't. So if you look at the
F-150.
let's say F-150 2015.
2013.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Here we go.
No. What? Okay, so if you see on the page at the bottom of the lights, the red kind of square, and it says this vehicle requires the use of a T83 dust cap. So if you click on that red link, then it gives you the part number that you need to install on that vehicle. So that's the best friend for all the dealers, the best thing to use. Unfortunately, 2019, 2020 cars, since COVID, we haven't been able to get through dealers to get all our tests done because they didn't want us to get there. Everything was kind of locked down. It was even worse in Eastern Canada than what it was here. So we're starting back our test in March of this year. So we're going to try to get as most information as possible. Some cars has been updated with the help of some customers that called in and told us that they need a decoder or bracket or something, but most of them are going to be updated starting as of March 2023, which when we're going to start back the test, and hopefully that's another issue that we're having right now. So there's no car anywhere. Like all the cars are sold, all the dealership doesn't have any cars in stock. So it's kind of hard for us to get there and test all of them because there's only like 3 out of 10 that are available for test. So it's going to be kind of a challenge to go through, but it's something we're starting back in March.
Moreover, it's important to know that anything you could need for an installation, you will know it by a little box under the picture of the bulb you're looking for. So, which is a resistance, a relay, or a decoder, or whatever you need. You make your search over there, and then you will know what you need to sell to the customer.
I'll show you the tool I was talking about. So on top of the website, on the black banner, there's something called tool. So if you look at the resistor finder, and you click, I hate Macintosh. Okay, perfect. So there's 3 options here. So what bulb are you using?
I'll do it.
Go ahead before I destroy it. So which bulb are you using? For example, use that one, Dynamite 1156. So
Okay.
DYN 1156, first one here. So you choose exactly the bulb that you're going to be using. What ODX does versus a lot of companies on the market, it's nowadays all the BCM, the computers are really, really sensible to voltage and to voltage variation and what kind of power drain the circuit drains when they're using a bulb. So instead of using one universal resistors as of, like for example Philips does, which is a 50 watt 6 ohm, we matched up all the resistors with the bulbs that we have to make sure it's exactly the same amp drain as the halogen light from the factory. So for example, if you look at, that's why it's like separately, because it doesn't have anything to do with a car, it's really with the bulb itself. So 1156, this one is a red strobe. The red strobe has been tested and see how many amps it drains, and it has been matched to an 1156 halogen light. So that's why sometimes you're going to get, let's say a white one, 1156, and it's not going to be the same resistor, for example, as this one, because it doesn't drain the same power. So we just want to match it up to whatever the halogen light match it up. So if you look at the resistor finder, then the first question is the vehicle equipped with bulb failure detection system, sorry. So that's an error that you get on the dashboard. Let's say like a burnt rear left parking light or something. If it's yes, then it needs to be yes. Let's write
You
it
can
yes.
choose yes or no,
Yeah.
so I did put yes.
So, and then the other one is the bulb used for turn signal. Turn signal, 100% of them needs resistor because you need to match exactly the same thing. Even if it's driven by the computer, it needs to be exactly the same power drain, or it's going to be hyper flash. What we call hyper flash is the bulb just starts flashing really fast. So you really need to install resistor for it. If, like, for example, that one. Oh, that one is 1156. Go with the 1157. I'll show you like a dual contact. So as you can see, there was only one resistor. That's because there's only one contact on that bulb, so you only need one resistor for it. When you're using a two-contact bulb, let's say 1157, and it has the bulb detection failure system, then you need two resistors per bulb. So it's a lot of wiring to do, a lot of resistors to sell, but there's nothing to go around it right now. There's some bulbs that are starting to be what we call CAN bus friendly, but honestly the problem is they burn out really fast because they're to be able to drain as much power in a small bulb, you get the issue that the heat's going like very, very high and the bulb just burned out. So we're not there yet, but sooner or later it's going to be easier to get replacement for the mini bulbs. And if you switch over to no on the detection and yes on the other one. So now as an example, we have a car that has a turn signal without the bulb detection failure. So it's only one resistance that is needed on the turn signal side. It doesn't tell you exactly which wire for each cars, but it tells you where it goes. So for example, that one would be on the high side, which is called the brightest part of the bulb, the high side. That's for the turn signal.
So it's possible to basically install it on practically any vehicle, but to be sure to sell it the right way, you guys, not you guys, but your dealers will need to go on the website to be sure that they sell it properly.
Everywhere we have an advertise for the Dynamite series or all the mini bulbs that we sell, there's a small red rectangle, same thing as we saw on the Ford F-150, and it sends you to the resistor finder directly. So it's easier to just find it out, but it's on the top menu here. Go back to the presentation.
I just want to show the search bar for.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
What's the SKU again?
For example, if you're looking, some halogen lights are the same socket, let's say, and same connector as let's say 9145 and 9005. They're the same socket, same connectors. Difference is wattage in the halogen light. In the LED, since we're draining less power than any halogen lights, we're using the same bulb for all of them. So if someone wants to replace a 9145, let's say, and it's not an application on our database, then you can look up with the search bar and just write down 9145, and it gives you which one it refers to onto the ODX side.
So in that case,
if you do H10, it's going to be like 9005. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to add because usually most of auto parts are looking for bulbs. Like customers just brings the bulb and they don't tell you which car it is, so it gives you a better idea of what you can fit there if it's not like a 9005 or like a regular one that you sell.
Does it work with the turn signals? Because most LED applications will offer, like, let's say, a 3157, but there is 3457, 3757.
Actually, yeah, it does. Try it out. I just don't want to touch. 4157. It should be. Yeah, it does work.
Okay.
Yep. That's a long life versus a regular one, but
Yeah, but like we had actually Jim's car took a 3757.
Yep.
And it's same style, but the actual locking pins on each end were totally different. They were off the sides, not in the center.
Okay.
So
Actually,
it wouldn't lock in.
good point. On the 3157 series, we got both locking pins on the same bulb, so it fits both. So yeah. Yeah, so that's a good tool. Same thing for sill beams too. When you're looking at sill beams, sometimes like it's 5640, then it gives you like it's in millimeters actually. But if you want to compare it to our sill beams, then it gives you which one it fits. So now for the automotive line, I'll let Mark
So for the automotive line, actually, the Spark is the first light you will go through. It's the smallest bulb actually we build, or almost from now on. And this bulb, it's like an entry level, so it will be the first one to replace an halogen. So if you encounter a customer who's want like not a big depth gain, but a better sight in front of the car, a clear white light, you go with a Spark. So this one is good for high
High beam?
Yeah, high beam and low beam, plus with the fog too. So you can fit pretty much everywhere.
You always want to install a bulb in a fog light. You always want to install a bulb that doesn't have a fan, because it's fan cooled. It's going to work, but the problem with salt, calcium, sand, and everything, it's just not going to last. So a couple of customers are using the Intense series, which is our brightest one, as a fog light for like Jeep Wranglers or stuff, because they really want the most power out of it. And we're still going to proceed with the warranty claims for it, no problem at all, but we don't recommend it just to limit whatever claim we could have. So we don't want a customer to come back each and every 2 years or 1 year to get a bulb replacement, but it's still covered under warranty. So the Spark series is one without the fan.
And it's important to notice that it's twice the power as an halogen. So yeah, and the cost effective. It's really it's an entry level, so it's easy to sell.
It's actually comparable to like, let's say, like the highest graded Sylvania halogen lights. So if you're looking at like a replacement halogen light, nowadays it's like almost $89 depending which SKU you have. So the Spark series around $99. So it's pretty similar, but it's lifetime warranty and it's an LED. So it changes the look of the vehicle, so it looks like a newer to compared to an halogen light.
The second light, it's actually it was the compact, so you may heard of it or will hear of it. It's a compact light, so compact was the name actually, and it was a 6,000 lumen, but we just replaced it with the Retro. So I'll let Max talk about it since it's a brand new.
That's a new item. Actually, takes us the first one to have the Retro in stock, and there's a couple of new features versus compared to the compact that we used to have. So the Retro is 300 degrees adjustable. So that's a good feature that we didn't have with the compact series. So sometimes you install the bulb and it's not positioned, like that's one thing that needs to be said too. The LED lights needs to be installed from left to right, always, like the chipsets. So if the bulb is crooked or it's installed horizontally, it's not going to light up properly. So it's going to reflect inside of the headlights reflector, the mirrors inside, and it's just got to go everywhere except where you want it to be aiming at. So you always want to aim from left to right. So when you're installing, let's say that one is a 9005, so when you're installing it and it's crooked, then this one can be adjusted to be exactly at the good position. The good thing too about the new Retro, we combine a couple of SKUs. So 9005 and 9006 before used to be two different SKUs, but that one comes with the 9006 O-ring. So it's the exact same adapter plate, same connector, but you just need to change the O-ring and you got a 9006. So instead of stocking two different bulbs, you only have one that makes both of them. It does the H10 too. So actually we're kind of getting more and more. We used to have all SKUs for different applications before, and in some cases it didn't really fit, or the adapters weren't exactly the same. But we managed a way to make it fit for, like universal fit, to make it fit for both. So that's a pretty good thing for the Retro. The Retro is the new, as you can see, the new box design. So the new design of the boxes are going to be that way from now on. So there's like a window so you can actually see the bulbs without opening up and everything. And the other cool feature about the Retro, it's 99.9% shielded. So for all the F-Series, E-Series trucks from Ford, they had a lot of issues with radio interference from the, when you're installing an LED, it emits some electromagnetic field, and it kind of get into the AM and FM radio. So that one is shielded and won't make that issue on the Ford series. We had a couple of calls for Harley-Davidson, like road guides that have like the radio from factory. Same thing for it. So it would be actually better if someone uses the AM and FM. Nowadays, people are using like Spotify and Apple Play and everything, but some people are still using the AM, FM, and they want to make sure it doesn't glitch in the radio.
And that's a fan-based?
Yeah, that one's a fan-based. Yeah, correct. So that's the entry level of the Performance series. As Mark said, the Spark is more like an OE replacement, and then that's the first one in the Performance series. So that one's comparable to 5,000 lumens. I'll tell you more later in the presentation what lumens are and kelvins and lux and whatever you're going to hear from customer, and they're going to be asking for 100,000 lumens bulbs that they saw on Amazon or something. But yeah, these are rated on our side comparable to 5,000 lumens, which is about 4 times brighter than the halogen light.
which make a big difference.
And all your ratings are usable lumens, not raw lumens, right?
Our ratings are a bit like a tire. When you're looking at thread wears on a tire, you can't really compare like a Michelin tire with a Kumo tire because they're using their own charts for their thread wears. So you're comparing like a 200 thread wear and 200, and maybe it's going to be a 600 versus a 200. Same thing on the lumens on our side. We kind of made our own, not our own lumens rating, but we lowered our actual lumens rating, and I'll explain you why later on the video. Yeah, it's comparable to our series. Like if let's say that one's like 2500, that one's 5000, this one is 6000, then you know which one is brighter in our series. But it doesn't mean that you're going to get a 20,000 lumens out of Amazon that is going to be brighter than that one. It might be less brighter than the retro one. So I'll explain you why and show you a couple of examples later.
Sure.
So the next bulb, actually, it's the most versatile bulb we develop by now. The hybrid is actually fitting everywhere, as the same as the Spark, but it's more powerful since it's 6,000 lumen for a pair. So 6,000 lumen, it's basically what everybody needs in the car. I mean, you can have more because always people wants more and more and more, but the 6,000 lumen fits everywhere and it's pretty good. So you can fit it in the fog light, as Maxime was telling. Some people wants to put the intense for 12,000 lumens, but this is real enough.
But fog lights are actually, a fog light just lights up in front of the vehicle. So even if it's like the brightest light in the world, it won't make much of a difference between the hybrid versus the intense series because it's just going to light up in front of the vehicle. So it's going to be white and it could be whiter, but you won't see really more. With human's eyes, you're not going to be comparing like the intense with the hybrid versus into a headlight like a low beam or high beam.
The heatsink is the most smallest we have developed since then too. So that make it very nice to use. Plus, it's 100% compatible with like all the DRL system on the most import vehicle. So some import vehicle normally need decoders, a special decoder for making work in it. But this one, most of the vehicle, I think it's Toyota.
Yeah, if you're looking at, for example, Mitsubishi Lancer, the DRL circuit, the regular bulbs needs what we call a DRL decoder. That's to limit flickering from the headlights when it's on the DRL because it doesn't give the bulb. Usually it's a PW pulse width modulation, PWM. So it gives like a 0-12 volt really fast. The halogen doesn't catch it up. So the halogen just dims to about 6 volt, which is like a dimming halogen light, like a DRL. But the LED, since it's really fast and it lights up right away, it flickers because it sees the 12 and it sees the 0. So you just want to limit that, and the hybrid has a built-in DRL decoder. So it's, I would say, 95% good. Most of the Toyota cars, Lexus cars, Mitsubishi Lancers doesn't need a DRL decoder anymore. Same thing for that one. Website's the best thing to use because if you still need one, it's going to be showed up on the website. But most of the DRL are fixed out for the Japanese vehicle with the hybrid series. Just not to my mistake, not to check we don't have that one. The smart decoders. We have two type of decoders that we're going to be talking about it later. But it's the DRL decoder that is built in the hybrid, not the smart decoder.
And
No dodges, yeah.
Those won't work on.
Won't work. No,
Yeah.
exactly. We're gonna jump on the decoders too later, but yeah, it's the smart decoder is a different thing, and I'll jump into it. Yeah,
so
What's the price on an e-bread compared to like a Spark?
I would say call your nearest Dick's dealer. Is that a good answer? Or? Versus the hybrid versus what? The Spark.
Spark.
I would say around maybe $60 difference between both from Hart, but I would call a Dick's dealer just to make sure it's the right price.
So as the retro, you have the same possibility to adjust it. So just to be sure that the lens are aligned with the DL. So that is really important because, as he was saying, it's going everywhere otherwise. So you have the little key here. You just have a little notch right there, and then you can adjust it perfectly so it fits and give you the perfect.
So all applications, all LEDs, they all should be left to right.
Always, yeah, the LED.
Yeah.
99%. We'll talk about a projector later because that's a different one. But all the two-sided LEDs needs to be facing from left to right, always. So that's the easiest way. In a fog light, it doesn't do like a much of a difference in a high beam, low beam. Low beam are the most accurate ones, or that's the one you want to make sure not to blind upcoming traffic. So you want to make sure they're aligned, because just changing the bulb for like 3 degrees will change the lighting output, and you'll get a very different beam pattern outside of the headlights. So you're going to get dark areas first, so it's not going to light up everywhere, and you're going to you can blind upcoming traffic. So it's really important for the adjustment. Yeah.
So next one is the Spek. Unfortunately, we didn't have one, but Spek is designed specifically for Mercedes and Sprinters. So it's kind of a, I don't know if you can see it right there, but you have.
It also makes Volkswagen Golf, Volkswagen EOS, and a lot of different Volkswagen and Tiguan
Yeah.
Tiguan cars too.
Yeah. So so the connector, there is actually no connector. You have no wires to connect the bulb. So the connector it's based right around the light itself. Plus you have the CAN bus integrated in the light, so you won't need any decoder to make it work. So you won't have any alarm to tell you that you have a burn light.
So the thing about the Spek, it's actually an H7. So it's the same thing as an H7 bulb, but in the Golf and the Sprinter, there's a small bracket that comes out. And when you unclip it from the vehicle, the two connectors are right on the bracket. So there's no way you could like plug in like a regular H7 from like an Brid series or the Intense series, any bulbs actually. There's some bracket that exists, but it doesn't work well at all. We've tried everything. That one's done you remove the whole bracket with the bulb, you swap the bulb in, and it works directly. CAN bus is good for Volkswagen. The only one that needs a resistor is the Sprinter. Sprinter needs a 75 watts 4 ohm resistor. Same thing, if you go on the website, look for a Sprinter, it's going to tell you it needs a resistor for that one, but that's the only one that needs a resistor. Everything else is CAN bus compatible with the Spek series.
So the projector it's been developed specifically, and we are actually the only one who have that kind of model for the projector. So projector, it's we're talking about, if we take a BMW, you have like a lens in the front. So this is gonna be taking the light to project it, and that's why we call it like that, perfectly in front of the vehicle. You do have a little ballast that go behind it, but still it can fit like all of the replacement for what's the name again? HID. That's it.
Yep. So yeah, as Mark said, projectors are like, if you look at some kind of a fisheye type headlight, those lights, when you're using a two-sided light bulb, what happens is you're losing half of your bulb inside of the headlight. So if you're using, let's say, an Intense series, which is suitable for a projector because it's bright enough, but still the Intense rated at 12,000 lumens versus the projector, which is 8,000 lumens on our side. So it's less powerful than the Intense one. But once you're installing the Intense into a projector headlight, you're losing half of it inside of the headlight housing. So the projector itself only has mirrors on one side, or even both sides, but there's a block-off plate that limits the light that goes out. So you're losing a lot of lights inside of the housing. So the 12,000 actually goes to 6,000. We're talking about a pair. So it goes to 3,000 a bulb. So you're kind of looking, it's still better than an halogen light with the Intense series, but when you're using, for example, an Brid, which is 6,000 a pair, it goes to 3,000 when you're losing half of it, and then 1,500 for one bulb, you're comparing it to an halogen light. So you're not upgrading anything. So yeah, it's going to be wider, but it's not going to be brighter than an halogen light. So we never recommend to install an Brid inside of a projector. Versus that one, since there's only one chip, it's 100% of the lighting output goes out of the projector. So there's nothing lost inside of the headlight. So even if it's 8,000 instead of 12, you're still getting 100% of whatever half of the kit, because it's for a pair. So 4,000 lumen out of the projector. So 4,000 versus 6,000 for the Intense. So even if it's brighter, that one's going to be better. So that's really important, and that's why we kind of have like a specific projector bulb, because we're actually like, there's not much on the market that has a projector specific bulb, and it makes a huge difference versus a two-sided LED bulb.
And projectors are not clockable.
Actually, those are, because you need to make sure, yeah, that's a good point. Projector has two ways to install it. So usually it's either up or down. It's never going to be on the sides, because on the side you're going to lose light inside of the headlight housing. It's really easy to install. There is an Allen key in the box, so it's clockable to the same thing as the Brid one. The only thing is, well, if it's installed upside down, let's say you start up. Usually, I would say 95% of the car it's going to be installed upward. because it's a mirror effect and it goes down after hitting the mirrors. But some projectors has a lens in front of it and it changes the angle of the light. So you're installing it downward. If you install it downward and it should be upward, you're barely going to have any lights coming out of the vehicle. So it's really easy to see. Then you just swap it over 180 degrees and put it back in and everything's going to be fine. So it's the only one that has only 2 adjustability option that should be done. So the wire goes down to light it up, wire goes up to light it down, and that's it. So it's an easy one to install actually.
And that brings us to the intense, which we call that because it's 12,000 lumen for a pair. Normally installed in the high beams. Some of the people wants it in a low beam, but the problem with that is you're gonna, like, you know, people coming in front of you will just won't able to see anymore. So it's normally been installed in the high end.
Yeah, we've done it for high beam mostly, like Mark said. That one's not adjustable, so usually I would say 90% of the time it's right on where it should be with left and right. Some application it's not adjustable, so it could be crooked. When it's on a high beam, not much of a deal. If it's on a low beam, then you can have problems. So you really usually use them for high beams. Some use it for low beam, high beam, and fog light, as Mark said. But it should be used for the high beam because that's a really bright one. It's actually almost 8 times brighter than the halogen too.
Yeah, and it's aluminum, all aluminum, and all the fan back there. It's the same thing. All the casings is aluminum because it's becoming really hot. So that's why it's been worked out like that.
The intense series the only series that we have that is polarity sensitive. So if, like, say this one is a 9005, let's say H11, H7, 9005, all of those have a reversible connector. So if you plug it upside down, it won't work. Customer calls in and light doesn't work. There's nothing that works out. Then it's just connected upside down. So that's the only one that is polarity sensible. So it needs to be positive on the right side and, well, on the good side, let's say not the right, but the good side, and then negative on the other one. And on the connectors, there's the small signs are engraved on it. Usually people doesn't look at it, so they just try it out. It doesn't work. Only one works. Both doesn't work because you're really not lucky and it's not your day. Then just swap it over and everything works back after.
So after that, we have the mist. The mist is actually a bulb that goes mainly in the fog light because you can flip it from white to yellow. So if you have a foggy day or snow or whatever, so they took a real good time to develop the good color for the yellow one actually.
Yep. So it comes with their RF remote. Usually at the base, we wanted to have like a Bluetooth application and just swap it over to your cell phone because it looks cool and everybody wants it. The thing is, nowadays, you're not allowed to touch your phone while you're driving. So we kind of set that apart and use like a regular RF remote. So you can switch from yellow, which is 3,500 kelvins, to white. So it's a single intensity bulb, and it swaps. It's a direct connection. So there's nothing else than the fog light connector that needs to be plugged in, and you can swap from yellow to white. There's a lot of it's good for rainy days, foggy days, but it's also good for a lot of people using German cars like Audi and Volkswagen. They always want to get the yellow colored fog lights. Then that one does both. So if it's clear outside, then you want to look like you want to see great in front of the vehicle, then you swap it over to white. And if it's rainy, foggy, whatever, you just want to look cool, then you can just swap it to yellow and you're good. So the remote, if you can see it for the video, we'll show you a small video of like introduction to the Mist series, and we'll show you force pairing after. So we called the mess with like the color changing and the color set that we chose the SBT technology, which is snow breakthrough. So it's the yellow one is a lot more reflective too, and you'll see on the snow, for example, during winter, you'll see a lot more of the bumps on the street, because when it's white on white snow, you don't really see the difference of what's coming up in front of you. Same thing as ski goggles or snowboard goggles. When you're looking at the yellow ones, it just gives you a lot more definition of what's coming up in front of you. So that's the exact same point that we've been looking at. We've been testing a lot of different yellow colors to get the right Kelvin degrees that pierces through the snow as much as possible. We went to snowboard company, snowboard mountains, and we've done a lot of tests with the snow blowers that they have and everything. And it's really makes a huge difference between yellow and white when you're driving during winter. And there's the second video is a pairing forced pairing. Since they're wireless, sometimes it happens that you just like click really fast on the button, and one changes and the other one stays, for example, white and the other one's yellow. And now you switch it over, and then they just switch over and they won't do it again. So we did two things. We did what we call the reset. So you just hold the button for 10 seconds and they go back to white for both. So you don't have to unplug anything. A lot of there's two companies on the market that make some kind of a light color changing bulb, but you need to unplug the fog lights. Sometimes it's very easy to do, like on a GK it's 5 minutes, but if you're looking at the Chevy Impala, it takes like 2 hours to get to access to the fog lights. So you need to remove the inner fenders and everything to access it. So on our side, you just hold the button for 10 seconds, it goes back to white, and then you're good. The other thing is a force pairing. Sometimes, since we're using RF frequencies, sometimes there's like, let's say, electricity poles or something around you that blocks the signal. So if it's not pairable, or you're installing the bulb and you can't pair them, so how to pair the bulb, it's you turn on the lights, and the two modules are in automatic pairing mode right away. So there's only one remote that could be paired at a time. So people can have like more than one, but if they lost the remote or it's defective or anything, you can order only the remote itself, and then you can pair it back. So as soon as you turn on the fog lights, the first 10 seconds, the bulbs are in auto learn mode. If you don't do anything, they're just gonna stay the way it was, and they're gonna be remembering the old remote that you paired with them. The first time you pair them, sometimes it happens that it doesn't pair to one of the two, or either both of them. So we've done the forced learning. So it's actually a trigger. So when you trigger the remote, it sends us twice the power of the RF signal, just to make sure it catches on the receiver of the fog lights, as you can see in the video here. Didn't work. We tried it and it wasn't reaching out the receivers. So when you trigger the remote, it just maximizes the RF frequencies that is sent out from the remote, and then it catches. Once it's done, like, you're good. We say 10 times, but it's good. And that's the same thing for as I was saying, if it changes from one fog to the other, just hold it down for 10 seconds and it goes back to white. If you put it to yellow, you unplug the fog lights for 2 years and plug them back in, they're going to be remembering whatever state they were before. So it's not going to switch over. If your battery goes down, it's still going to be remembering the last state it was. Yep.
So you said that there's the like forcing it back to white and forcing it to pure. How do you force trigger?
Sorry.
Sorry for that.
How much what?
How do you force trigger? So you were saying to force reset, you press and hold it for 10 seconds, but how do you force trigger?
The force trigger is just it's in the remote itself. After pressing 4 times on the remote, it doubles up the power. So usually people are not going to be triggering the remote for fun, maybe in the parking lot to show their friends that they have both 2 color fog lights, but usually it's just to pair the remote. So it's the force trigger is activated automatically once it's 4 times pressed. So that's why we're telling 10 times, but as you could see in the video, like I think it was like the 5th time both lights were paired. So usually after 4 it's already paired. It doesn't happen often, but once in a while you get a call, and that's an easy solution for it. So that's something we added to all of our Mist series since the second production. So everything's on the market right now is updated to that one.
And you can buy that remote separate?
Yeah, the remote's available for, I would say a little bit under like 25, 30 bucks, near that. Yep.
No, just because it is a piece, I know you could stick it to something.
Yep.
It is a piece that could be lost.
Yeah, it could be lost. It comes with a sticky mount, so you can stick it to a dashboard or to a center console or anywhere. But yeah, we do have the remote separately too.
And what's the battery life of the Switch?
About 3 years, 3 to 4 years. So usually, most of the people change his car before change his battery. So
So right after that, the seal beam. The seal beam are in two sizes for the square one, like the 4x6 and 5x7. Plus you have the round seal beam for Jeep application, or I think even you fitted some on some RDX.
yeah, the 7 inches one are also universal. So there's mounting holes in the back. So people uses them as fog lights, as headlights for motorcycles. They're DOT regulated, DOT compliant. Sorry, so they're good for heavy duty trucks that goes in the U.S. or anywhere actually in North America. And seal beams, the square ones are available black or chrome. So chrome is mainly to look like a OEM color, OEM type, and then the black one that looks like an aftermarket headlight. So depending on the application, someone wants to have the OEM look, then we got both colors for both. And they all have a DRL circuit. So you can use a lot of truck drivers like the 18-wheelers trucks. They want to use the DRL and put them on the parking lights. So there's always like 200 parking lights on those trucks because they want to look cool. So the same thing for as for the mist light, you use the DRL when you're on the parking light. So when they're sleeping or when they're in a parking lot or something, like the DRL are lighting up. So it lights up automatically on the low beam and high beam. But if you want to light them up like individually, then you can just wire them directly and you're good. The 7 inches also have turn signal, amber color. So if it's a Jeep GK, you can wire it up to a turn signal, the DRL, so it flashes amber to the same thing as a turn signal.
So on your website for the 7-inch I was looking at,
Yep.
you said it was fitting the new Jeeps, but the new Jeeps are 9-inch.
Yep. So we do have a kit called Bracket SB. So Brack SB 7 GL. That's for the GL. So it's a bracket that fits a 7 inches into a 9 inches hole. So you remove the whole headlight, you replace with the bracket, and bracket comes also with a connector, which is a dirge type connector that they have installed from factory at Chrysler, and it goes directly in. Those seal beam still needs a decoder. So if it needs a decoder on the low beam, let's say with an upgrade kit, it's going to be the same thing for the seal beams too. But you could use either an H4 or an H13 because both connectors are behind it. So you could use both seal beams, both smart decoders. Sorry.
So the mini bulbs, well, many applications. So for turn signals, brake lights, tail light, backup light, reading light. Actually, you can basically modify all of your car with ODX with the mini bulbs.
The T10 is the only one we have which is CAN bus compatible. So for Volkswagen cars, Mercedes cars, you're not going to get an error message with those. So for a license plate, mostly license plate, some turn signals usually, but it brings the exact same power as the halogen light too. So that's the only one that we have that doesn't need a resistor at all. Everything else needs one. When you're looking at the picture on the right side, the orange box, that's called a switchback. So that's a dual color bulb. So it's white on the parking light and it's amber on the turn signal. So that's only for front of the vehicle. But you can look as the new European cars or even the new American cars nowadays has the DRL that are all white, and then it goes to amber when you're turning on your flasher. So that's the exact same thing to mimic the new cars thing of today. We got those three, and then we got the Dynamite series on the next page. That's a new series of all the mini bulbs we have. One cool thing about it, we got the white, we got the red, amber, and the red strobe one. Red strobe one is the new thing that we came out with this year, and actually, which is pretty cool. It's the same size as an halogen light, but it has a red strobe signal built in. So when you apply, for example, it's mainly used for brake lights only. So when you apply the brake, it flashes 3 times just to give more notifications to the one in the back following you. A lot of motorcycle drivers like that and wants to have that installed. So they're mostly seen by other vehicles during rain time and everything. So it's built in. Usually people are installing, you can click on the video here. People are installing like a small module to make it flash on the regular LED bulbs. That one's all built in. So that's a cool feature of the Dynamite series.
Hi everyone, welcome to today's ODX workshop. My name is Kevin Darwish, I am Marketing Director.
My name is Max, a Product Specialist.
So today we're going to be talking about converting your vehicle's interior and exterior lights to LED. So you're wondering, what am I talking about when I say interior and exterior lights? We're talking about mini bulbs. Most of the time when people want to convert their vehicles to LEDs, they'll do their low beams, their high beams, or their fog lights. But most of the time, the rest of the vehicle gets ignored, and it's really something that could complete a package when you convert the car completely to LED. So today the goal is to teach you how, from step one to the final step, how to convert the mini bulbs on your vehicle. We're going to start by presenting our new series, which is the ODX Dynamite series. We're going to teach you how to know which bulb you need according to your vehicle using our website. Then we're going to teach you to find out if your car needs a resistor. And finally, if your car does need a resistor, we're going to teach you how to install it depending on what the application is. So stay tuned. The Dynamite is our new mini bulb series from ODX. And as you can see from the packaging, it looks like a stick of dynamite, and you have your SKU in the timer box right here. So the Dynamite series is offered in 4 different colors, and we have over 30 different SKUs. So your first option would be the 6500K white, which is your traditional white. We also have it in the festoon format, which is for the interior lights. Next, we have the amber mini bulb, which is mainly used for your turn signals front and rear. Then we have the red mini bulb, which is used for brake lights. And finally, once again, for brake lights, we have the red strobe series, which will give you a demonstration shortly. We're always looking for ways to be seen and stay safe, and the ODX Dynamite Red Strobe series has the solution to that. Now this is good for vehicles, motorcycles, ATVs, anything that has brake lights. So once the brake pedal is depressed, you'll have a quick strobe effect, which will really catch the attention of anybody following you. Now normally if you would like to have a strobe effect with your brake lights, you would need to install a secondary module aside from your LED bulbs to get the strobe effect, as you can see right here. Now ODX took the headache out of it and integrated it directly into the bulb. So all you have to do is install it into your vehicle and you will get the red strobe effect. With the advancements in technology today, the body control modules of vehicles are getting more and more sensitive. When you install an LED mini bulb on a vehicle, you could either have some hyperflashing or you could have a burnt bulb detection warning in the cluster. So ODX has multiple different load resistors depending on which bulb you're going to be choosing for your vehicle. And ODX really did a good job at matching the wattage of the resistor to the original bulb that comes on the vehicle. So we're going to be doing some installation demonstrations on this 2018 Kia Optima. We're going to do a straightforward installation, and we're also going to do an installation that requires a resistance. So let's start with the taillights.
Let's start by using the bulb lookup database on the ODX website at www.odx.ca. Enter in the year, brand, and specific model of the vehicle, and you will get a list of all the different bulbs that the car is equipped with, including their location. As you can see for this Kia Optima, the rear turn signal is an 1156, whereas the brake light bulb is an 1157. Now that we know what bulbs are required for the rear turn signals and brake lights, we will start by removing the bulbs from the taillights. We will start with the turn signals. Remove the halogen bulb from its socket and replace it with the ODX Dynamite Amber LED mini bulb. Since this vehicle requires a resistor, we will plug the bulb in and give you an example of what the vehicle will do without a resistor. As you can see, the bulb is hyperflashing, and we will also get a check turn signal warning. In order to know what load resistor is going to be required on this Kia Optima, we're going to visit the ODX website, go into Tools and Resistor Finder. We will start by indicating which bulb we are using. Right now we are using the Dynamite 1156. Then we are asked if the vehicle is equipped with a bulb failure detection system. The Kia Optima is. Finally, we need to indicate if this bulb is being used for a turn signal. In this case, it is. As you can see, the required resistor, which the part number is resist 50-6UNI, is a 50 watt 6 ohm resistor, One side will be connected to the low side of the turn signal, and the other end will be connected to the ground. Now that we have our proper load resistors, we are ready to install them. As the resistor finder indicated, connect one side of the resistor on the power wire and the other side on the ground wire. Although the connector clips that are included work very well, we recommend soldering for a cleaner installation. As you can see, there is no more hyperflashing and the check bulb warning is gone. The final step is to mount the resistor to a metal surface. Resistors can get really hot. Once mounted to a metal surface, they can reach a temperature of about 60 degrees Celsius. A resistor that is not mounted to a metal surface can reach up to 200 degrees Celsius. We can now move on to the brake light. Remove the halogen bulb from its socket and replace it with the ODX Dynamite LED mini bulb. We chose to go with the red strobe. As you can see here, the bulb works properly, but once again we are getting a check brake light warning. Once again, to know the resistor, let's start by choosing the bulb used. We are using the 1157 Dynamite. Once again, the vehicle is equipped with a bulb failure detection system, and the bulb is not being used as a turn signal in this case. As you can see this time, 2 resistors are required, one for the parking lights and one for the brake light. Carefully look at the image to know where to connect them. As the resistor finder indicated, connect one side of the resistor to the brake signal wire and the other side to the ground wire. Even though the resistor finder indicated that 2 resistors were required, this vehicle only has a warning signal for the brake light, which means only 1 resistor was needed. Once again, mount the resistor to a metal surface. We will now change the reverse lights. This will be an easy installation as no resistors are required. Simply swap out the halogen bulb for the ODX Dynamite mini bulb. While filming this video, we realized that the Kia had a burnt license plate bulb. Might as well change those too. Once again, simply swap out the old bulb for the ODX Dynamite mini bulb. There you have it. The turn signals, the 2 brake lights, the license plate lights, and the reverse lights have been swapped out to the ODX Dynamite LED mini bulbs. Finally, let's change out the interior dome lights for the ODX Dynamite Festoon bulbs. Simply remove the old lights and install the new Festoon LEDs. Watch out when removing halogen bulbs. If they have been on, they can get very hot.
As you can see, as long as you use ODX's bulb application database, pair with the resistor finder tool, installation is a breeze, and the results are awesome. Thanks.
For you on those,
Yep.
and only because I was working on this today on our site, that bulb is identical to the Petco Lumicore.
It looks pretty similar. Yep.
Yeah.
Externally it's the same. Internally, the drivers are not exactly the same, but it's exactly like if you look at it from an outside expert perspective, let's say, it's the exact same body that we use from Petco. Yep.
Okay, because normally Petco patents the hell out of stuff and,
Yeah.
chases everybody down. So there isn't an issue in selling this product up against the Petco as far as
Nope, not at all.
the fact that it looks identical, so.
Yep. Actually, if you look at the copper core inside, it's a bit different, but it's the body itself. The outside look is similar, but yet the internals are different from the one for Petco.
And the strobe is red only, one bulb, 1157, that's it.
Actually, we've got the 1156, 56, 57, 7140, 7143. So all of them are available. The only thing is on the dual intensity bulb, it's only the high power one. So the brake light usually.
Two element options.
Yeah, only the high power element that is strobing. The other one's a regular one. They're lighting up red. Most of the headlights are all clear, all red in the back of the vehicles anyway. But it's, for example, someone has some kind of a clear light or something, then it lights up red, and we want to make sure people are not going to use it in front of the vehicle. So that's why it came out red instead of white.
Does the Dynamite packaging have like a try me button or anything on it?
No, it does. It doesn't. No. Honestly, that's mainly for as of a shipment issue, because we can't airship batteries. So if we want to ship it to US or anywhere in the world, we're kind of stuck with sea shipments only, which takes like years nowadays. It's getting better than what it was a couple of years ago, like 2 years and last year, but it's still an issue when you want to airship something. Yeah.
What you could do is put a 9-volt battery terminal on the bottom and just get a battery to it. And
It could.
flash for you.
It could. It's going to be a bit trickier because, as you can see, we kind of went into as you saw in the video, that was Kevin Dar, which is one of our marketing director. So he's more into the marketing stuff, and we're looking at the bottle of wines at the liquor store and looking which one looks the best, and that's his job to go against the nice looking part of it. So we called it Dynamite. As you can see, the part number is the timer on the thing. That one's not a good example actually because it's the T10, but like 1156, it's like the timer on it, so it looks like a small dynamite stick. So, and with the lighting stick here, so that's the marketing part. Yeah.
That's neat.
So it's small dynamite sticks. As for decoders, like I was telling you earlier today, there's two types of decoders that we have. We have the first one, which is the smart decoders, that is all in metal, all aluminum built, and we have the DRL decoder, the one we were referring when we spoke about the Brid series. The smart decoders is mainly for American vehicles, so Dodges, Chrysler, Jeeps, mainly for those applications. Somewhere you're going to use it for, like, I think 1 or 2 series of Ford, which aren't really Fords. It's like Skoda disguised into Ford cars. So that's why you're going to use them. But most of the smart decoders are going to be used for Chrysler applications, and the DRL mainly for a Japanese application. So DRL is only when it flickers. So if the light flickers on a Japanese vehicle, DRL decoder is the one going to work. That's going to work. And the smart decoders, that's a decoder that speaks with the BCM. So it speaks with the computer that drives the headlights, and it tells them, like, let them light up because it's an halogen light that is installed, even if it's not. Because the problem with the BCMs, it's when you're installing an LED, since it drains less power than an halogen light, the BCM sees it and thinks that there's some kind of a short or a problem in front of the vehicle, so it shuts the headlights or makes them flash, or there's a lot of different issues that could happen. So you want to make sure you install decoders, and when it says install decoder, install the decoder. Because sometimes, or a relay harness, which I'm going to talk later, let's say 2015 Silverado 1500, you install the lights, everything is perfect. So there's only one light in a projector headlight that does high beam and low beam. So the dealer installed the headlights, everything works good, customer leaves, and about a week and a half later, both headlights are shutting off at the same time. So you don't have low beam, you don't have high beam anymore, computer shuts them off, and you don't see anything in front of your vehicles. It's really dangerous. So that's why we had to make the relay harness, which is on the next page. So a relay harness that is made specifically for those trucks. It's not a regular relay harness, so if you use like a regular one from, let's say a Bosch relay, it's not going to work. So there's a small box just before the relay. That one speaks with the BCM. So that one sends the signal to the BCM and tells it, like, let the lights open, everything's good. It's halogen light that's installed. So it's really important to refer to the website just to make sure you have the right option to install on either whatever, if it's a car, truck, or even motorcycles too, because sometimes there's, as you can see, small brackets. So we do have small brackets that, for example, these are LHS 02. Those are mainly used for Kia and Hyundai cars. So when you remove an H7, like the connector from the Kia cars are all molded with the terminals, and there are small tabs that just holds the bulbs in place. So when you take it off of the car, and you remove the bulb, like the new bulb's not going to be holding inside of the headlight housing. So you need those brackets to make it fit. That's the same thing when you're looking at, let's say, a Hyundai Kona. On the website, it says use LHS 02 brackets, which are those, and you'll be able to install, make it work, and then make the connection in the OEM connector. Even like the original bracket's just going to be laying down into the headlight, and that one's going to be replacing it to hold the bulb in place inside of the headlight. And then we got the resistors. As we said, resistors, we got a bunch of different models, depending which one is needed for the bulbs. Sometimes we're going to be using what we call plug-and-play resistors. So that one are 9005s. Mainly European vehicles. So when you're getting an error message in the dashboard because of your headlights, either H7s or 9005s, we do have a plug-and-play resistor, so just to get rid of the error message. A smart decoder won't work on those vehicles, so it's really like a different way that the BCM's looking at whatever's working on the halogen light. If you're looking at a BMW, usually you'll need a set of resistors, but even once the resistors are installed, when you start up the car, it's going to blink for like 3 or 4 times. So it's the bulb check signal that is received from the computer. And since the bulbs are, like I said in the DRL earlier, since the bulbs are really fast to get the signal on, it just flashes 4 times and then you're good. So that's always going to be, even if the resistors are on.
That's every time you start up?
When you start up the vehicle, yeah, exactly. So it just checks to make sure the bulbs are good. It sees the resistor, it thinks the bulbs are good, so everything's good. So it's not going to give you an error message. Really important thing, BMW, it's the computer that drives the lights, it's called an FRM. And FRM is front control module. And that one, if, let's say the customer doesn't buy the resistors and says, let's say like a 2008 E90, which is a BMW 3 Series from 323 to 335. Customer just installed the bulbs without the resistors. The computer self-destructs after 15 times he sees the bulb is burned out. So the computer is not good anymore. There is a way to put it back to life with programmable things and laptops and stuff. But if you go at a dealership, they're going to tell you replace your computer. It's $2,000 to get it replaced, programmed and everything. And there's nothing you could do. Even if you install the original bulbs, the resistors or anything, the computer is self-destruct. Dealers are not going to like put it back to life. There's, like I said, some ways to get it back to life because I've done it myself, but it's a headache to go there, and you don't want to go there. So BMW always use the resistors, even if the customer tells you like I don't care about the message or something. Computer could go out, and then you're stuck with a couple of $100 or $1,000 of repair to do.
Sir, you let the smoke up.
So,
Sure.
Headlight restoration kit, I'll let you go.
Yeah. So headlight restoration kit, basically, well, I showed you the video earlier, Al. It's a kit, like, you don't need to send anything, you don't need to do anything instead, except of using what is in the little box there. Actually, when you have a light which is green or bluish or greenish or whatever, and you want to bring it back to life and see properly in front of the car, you use that kit. I'll show you guys a little video.
Do you have foggy and yellowed out headlights? Are you having trouble seeing at night because of your worn out headlights? Then you will want to try the Headlight Restoration Kit by ODX. The ODX Headlight Restoration Kit comes with everything you need to restore your headlights like new. The kit comes with a protective glove, 2 dry cloths, 2 wipe cloths to remove oxidation, 1 for each headlight, and finally the UV protective coating wipe. Here are the proper steps in restoring your headlights with the ODX Headlight Restoration Kit. Make sure your headlights are clean and dry. Put on the supplied protective glove. Using the first headlight cleaner labeled Step 1, wipe the headlight with a firm pressure. You will see the oxidation begin to lift onto the cleaning wipe. Using the dry cloth, wipe the headlight.
Often people ask me if it's dangerous for the paint of the car because you can see on the bumper there's like a little of the stuff. It's not dangerous at all. So you won't remove the paint or you won't like damage the car or anything in any way.
Yeah, the only thing is the step 2 is a clear. So as you'll see, a clear coat is that's something. If you touch the bumper, it's not a big deal. But just wipe it out before it dries. That's the only thing. So it's a UV protective clear that goes over the headlight and changes the appearance of the headlight overall. And as you can see, the video is not fast forward. It's the real time. So it's about 5 minutes to have a vehicle done.
Light completely dry, removing all oxidation residue. Repeat the same process on the second headlight. Once both headlights have been cleaned, make sure that they are completely dry. The final step can only be done once the headlights are 100% dry. Apply the UV sealant protective coating labeled Step 2. Wipe the headlight surface in one direction, lightly overlapping each pass. Avoid contact with painted surfaces. One wipe will coat both headlights. Let the headlights dry for at least 30 minutes before exposing them to water or rain. Wait at least 2 days before washing or touching your vehicle's headlights. You have now restored your headlights back to new form and will be able to see clearly in the dark. Thank you for choosing ODX.
We haven't changed the headlight. It's really just the wipes. I used to have a garage, and I used to be a house mechanic for 15 years. And when Eric came out with that kit, it was like, no way in hell it's going to work. It's just, these things are just shit, and we're just sending them over, buffing the headlights and clearing the headlights after, and we're charging about like $140 a set when customer comes in. And when he gave me a couple of samples, he was like, try them out and let me know. I was like, I'll tell you right away, it's not going to work. And honestly, I've been really amazed how it works great. I've done it on my car too. I used to have a BMW too, the same one as the video, and it lasts for about a year and a half. We're warrantying for 6 months. Honestly, it depends on the driver actually. So if someone makes a lot of highway and gets sandblasted from the vehicle in front of him, in front of the other one, well, it's not going to last as long because the sandblast is still going to be take off the clear coat out of it. The clear coat is a UV activated clear coat, so it needs to be outside. I've had a tech call, I would say now, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. Someone was like, cars in the garage since 2 weeks and it's still not dry. Like, it doesn't work. The thing is, it's UV activated, so it needs to be under sun ray to dry completely. So the best thing is to have it done when it's sunny outside, and then you can leave the car outside. As it says in the video, after half an hour, the first layer is good and is dried, so you can go under rain. So even if it's raining outside, usually what people does, it's, for example, in the garage, it's tire rush season and they want to have it done because it's only 5 minutes, and it's a really good thing for them to give to their customers because it's easy to do and it's easy $50 done on your side as a garage owner. You do it by the time you're changing tires or something, so it gives them half an hour, and then you can leave it out. Even if it's not sunny outside, there's still UV rays, so it still dries out, so there's no problem at all. If for any reason there's someone makes it, and right after it rains and it doesn't have a garage or something, you made it outside, there's nothing to worry about. The step 1 takes everything out of the headlights and bring it back to what it was before. So it's going to take out the clear coat, the step 2, and then you just have to start it again with the step 1 and the step 2, and you're good to go. So it's a reversible thing. It's not a big deal if it happens.
Will it dry if you use a UV light?
I could, honestly, the best thing is to let the
Sun.
nature go and,
Yeah.
If somebody's in a big rush, we do sell UV flashlights
Yeah.
as well.
yeah.
So,
It may work. I don't know how long you want to stay in front of your headlights,
Doesn't bother
but it may
me.
work.
What's that kit retail for?
Retail price is about like $19. That's on a shelf point of view, like in auto parts. Usually garages sells it and install it for about between $49 and $69, like installed. So it's about 5 minutes, which is fairly good for a garage, and it could be done by the guy that makes the tire oil change in the garage. It doesn't need to be a mechanic to have it done. So it's fairly easy, very quick to do. So yeah.
Curing with UV temperature does not matter, summer, winter, outside?
No, doesn't matter. Yep, doesn't matter.
As long as you have sun.
Yep.
So the power line.
I would say if it's minus 40, I would wait the next day,
Yeah.
but we never had any issues.
You've never had our winter though.
Well, it's not far from it.
It's pretty cold enough there.
Yeah, it's pretty cool too.
So the Powersport line is basically the same as the automotive. The difference is it's all sold separately. So you can buy only one bulb if you guys want, instead of a kit of two, because a lot of motorcycle or snowmobile or whatever you want use only one bulb, or maybe at some point three. So you will have only that.
The Spark series is the exact same thing. When you're going to see the Li3 and the S6. Li3 is comparable to the Brid, and S6 is comparable to the 10 series. It's exactly the same body housing, but it's a different voltage regulator inside of the bulb, because most of the Powersport lineups are driven by a stator instead of an alternator. So it's less stator and a rectifier regulator, so the voltage is less accurate than an alternator in a car. Nowadays, it's not as bad as it was before, because they're all driven by computers and they're all fuel injected right now nowadays. But still, it's a bit stronger. The bulbs are not going to light up stronger. It's just like it's capable of like getting higher and lower voltage fluctuation versus the regular ones. That's the only difference. So the Powersport series could be used into automotive with no problems, but the automotive one into the Powersport, depending which application, it would work too, but it may not last as long as the Powersport series.
So you have the Spark, which is the same name. For the hybrid for the car, it's called the Li3 for lithium. And you have the S6, which is the intense actually. So it's 12,000 lumens, 6,000 lumen per bulb.
Yeah, those lumens ratings are all per bulbs, so it's only sold individually, so that's why. But all the other specs are exactly the same thing as the automotive one.
Yeah. You also have the Snowy, which is basically on the same technology as the Mist.
Yeah,
but
comparable to the Mist. The Snowy is a two-color bulb, and we only do it for H4 and H13. So that one has been developed. I don't know if there's you guys snowmobiles a bit or anything, but there's the BRP that came out with the platform G4 in 2017. The G4, all the 2017 and newer skidoos from BRP. The problem with BRP, with not BRP, but all the skidoos and ADVs on the market, they don't need to be compliant to DOT regulation. So the headlights, reflectors, they can do whatever they want. So if they look it cool with 2 reflectors instead of 30, like it should be in a car, then they can do it and that's it. The problem was when you were installing an LED light into a G4 headlight housing, you were having a lot of dark areas and dark spots because it wasn't designed to be inside of a reflector from Skidoo. So what we've done when you're looking at a bulb, for example, that one is an H13, and you're looking at the E-Brid, which is an H13 too. Usually H13, I don't know if you see it. Usually the H13 chips are like one above the other. That's the high beams are a bit near the tip of the bulb, so you're getting into the cone of the reflector light to get more distance. But usually they're one above the other. If you look at the H13 on the Snowy, it's right behind the other. So that's how we managed to have a great lighting output out of G4 headlight housing. That one's compatible with RZR2, so side-by-sides from Polaris that uses H13s. We call it the Snowy, so SNOYYW. That's for white and yellow. Actually, it's not really yellow. The real color is the exact same thing as an halogen. So the gray is 3000 Kelvin, and 3000 is exactly the same thing as an halogen. The only thing is, since it's more powerful, if you're looking at the Kelvin chart, then more power, it looks more yellowish, but matter of fact, it's what we called warm white for the low beam and cold white for the high beam. So it's still white, but it looks more like yellow to the human eyes, but it's still a white color. So that's what we managed to be the most piercing through snow. And in snowmobile, well, while you're driving and there's a snowstorm outside, if you have, like, for example, the Intense series, which lights up crazy inside in a snowmobile, and you're hitting a snowstorm, what it does, it's 110% more reflective than an halogen light. So when you're riding with those lights and it's snowy outside, it just makes a white wall in front of you, so you don't see anything. It happens to me, and I've been doing like 20,000 kilometers a year for snowmobile trails. And at one point that we just went off the trail, we unplugged our headlights and we just went without headlights, and we were seeing better than with the Intense series installed. I was like, it doesn't make sense. It can be more dangerous to have an LED kit than nothing on the Skidoo. So I've been working on those for 2 years, and when I've tested the last one, it's really amazing the difference between the cold white and the warm white color. When you're on the warm white, it just pierces through snow. Same thing when you're following another Skidoo. All the snow dust that comes from the track, from the one in front of you, just sends you all the small particles, and when you're riding with a regular LED bulb, it just makes a white wall in front of you. So that's the yellow one pierces through it. So that's why we call it SBT, the snow breakthrough technology, which with the color that we're using. Same thing for the Mist series. We're being looking for the right Kelvin degree. Actually, the yellowish color is the second best option. The first one is orange. Orange is even better than the yellow one, but it's not legal anywhere. So that's why we kind of had to go with the warm white option, which is like yellowish color. So it's really a good thing for snowmobiles.
But on a snowmobile, you could run orange on the front, couldn't you?
You could?
Couldn't you? I don't know.
Sorry, I didn't
On a
hear.
snowmobile.
Yep.
You could run orange. You said there's no DOT for that?
It's not DOT regulated, but most provinces and cities have regulations for it.
Oh.
So it needs to, for example, in Quebec, they're asking for a white light. So when we launched it and we had issues, well, not issues, but we've been called by the federal police department in Quebec, and they were like, your products are not legal, they're yellow, but they're actually warm white. So warm white is legal, yellow is not. So that's where we had a meeting with the police officers, and we had a meeting with the generals there, and we showed them the Kelvin degrees chart and everything, and it's exactly the same color as the halogen light, which is the factory one. It's just not as bright. So when you're looking at it from a human perspective, it looks yellowish, but it's actually the same color, as a matter of fact, in the Kelvin degrees chart. That's how you actually check.
Same on the Mist as well?
Same on the Mist, yeah, correct.
Because
Yeah.
the Mist looks really yellow on
Yeah,
the video.
it looks, to the human eyes, it looks really yellow, but it's 3,000 Kelvin, which is
It's like a house bulb, isn't it?
Sorry?
Like house bulbs are like 3,000, aren't they?
It's a different thing when you're talking about like the house things. When you're talking about daytime in house, daytime in cool white, I think, it's different colors. The Kelvin degrees are not really respected between the automotive side and the household things.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. So why is there 50,000 lumens LEDs on the market? What lumens are, what Kelvin degrees are, and what ODX lumens ratings are. So if you're looking at the ads there that are, I think it was an eBay thing. You're looking at the first one. It calls for it's eBay. It calls for 50,000 lumens. So 50,000 lumens. People are like, why are you selling only like 6,000 lumens? Well, and where you're comparing the ODX one versus the 50,000 one on eBay, actually the eBrid's stronger and more powerful than the one that rates 50,000. 50,000 doesn't exist. Like the problem with the lumens, it's nobody could actually look for it and nobody can test it right at their house or their place. It needs like specific equipment to have it done and have it tested. When we're talking about equipments, if you see the middle one is it's called a luminous sphere, and there's a barium sulfate inside of that sphere that reflects all the light. You need to know the exact size of your sphere. I'm just going to go over it quickly because it's really technical, but it gives you a better idea of what lumens and lux are in Kelvin degrees. So lumens are related to lux in that one lux is 1 lumen per square meter. So there's something called a lux meter, which we have, like for example, that one, the Reed one, which is a fairly good company that sells really legit instrumental companies. The problem is when you're getting a lux readout out of the lux meter, it's calibrated for a certain degrees, Kelvin degrees. So it's calibrated for halogen light. So when you're putting an LED inside of a sphere, it's like, wow, it's so freaking bright. It's like very powerful. But in matter of fact, it's not because it's powerful, it's because it's white. So it doesn't give you the exact accurate lux out of the sphere. So even if you know what size you have, you don't have the real readings to get the real lumens output. So I can't tell you exactly how many lumens. For example, you give me a bulb, I can put it in. I can compare it to whatever I have, but I can't tell you how many lumens it should be because it's just going to give you a number that is out of nowhere, which is not accurate for the LED, the Kelvin degrees of the LED that you're using. If for any reason, let's say this one is 6,500 Kelvin, which is white, the color, Kelvin. If you're having a bulb which is 6,428 lumens, Kelvins, it needs to be recalibrated to that Kelvin degree. So it needs to be looked at and then recalibrated to that Kelvin degree to make an accurate test. So it does exist. It's about $5,000 a bulb to have a test, and to have an accurate number, it's about 10 bulbs that needs to be done. So it's about $50,000. So nobody's going to test it. Nobody's going to know. So they can advertise anything to any lumens rating. Nobody's going to know about it. Those companies are mainly in China, so nobody's going to sue them. Nobody's going to go against them after all. Our company is based in Canada. So the day the charts are going to be available to calibrate the lux meter, and it's going to be available somewhere in time, then it's going to be easier for everyone to get the lumens rating out of your luminous sphere. We're not there yet. Somewhere in time we're going to be. So we kind of lowered our lumens rating just to make sure we don't have any issues later on when the charts comes in. And you've sold me a bulb that was supposed to be 6,000 lumens. As a matter of fact, it's 3,000 lumens. Then we're kind of stuck with it, and we're a Canadian company, so we can get sued about it for selling something that wasn't as powerful as we described. So that's why all of our bulbs are comparable to, so it's 5,000 lumens, it's comparable to 5,000 lumens, and that's why our ratings are lower than most companies are advertising on the market. So if they want to try to risk it and try to sell something that is not really accurate, then it's their part of the job, but it's not something I would refer to. And I always give the example of the treadwear of the tower that, like I said earlier, it's an easy example because both have their own charts, so you can't really compare it to another brand. At least you can compare the same brand on our side. It doesn't mean on like someone else. It doesn't mean it's going to be brighter. We've made a test for one of our customers in the U.S. I won't name the company because I'm not allowed here. In the U.S., they're going to yell at him and they're going to tell their names everywhere because that's what they do. But here, we're not really allowed. So we've made a test of a bulb that was rated at 16,000 lumen, which was kind of true. It was brighter than the Inten series, which I was like kind of surprised. Like I thought we thought we had one of the brightest one on the market. When we installed it on a headlight, the chip's position wasn't good at all. So on a it's called a reflector board that we have. So it's a SAE regulated board to have the projection at 25 feet. The projection of our Intens was way better and way cleaner and way wider than their bulbs, even if it's what's brighter. So the lumens rating doesn't mean it's going to give you accurate lighting in front of the vehicle. It tells you that the bulb itself lights up that much, but it doesn't tell you that the bulb's going to light up great in front of the vehicle. Sometimes you're going to get a H11 from a brand, and you're going to get the H13 from the same brand. The H11's really accurate, everything's good. You're getting the H13 because they don't have any H13 in China, so it's the worst one to try and to deal with. It's all mostly American cars and some Nissan Sentra that has the H13. You're going to get that one, and it's not going to light up great at all. So you're going to have like a lot of dark areas. Beam pattern's not going to be good. The accuracy of the line in front of you is not going to be good too. So there's a lot more to see than just the power of the rating power of the bulb. And then, as you can see here, the lumens, the Kelvin rating, sorry. So all of our bulbs are 6,500 Ks, which is Kelvin, which is white. So if you install a Spark series in your fog lights, an Intense on your high beam and a hybrid on the low beam, it's all going to be the same color. So you want to make sure you can mix match any bulb that you take from ODX and have it done. And as you can see, the SBT, which is the mist and the snowy, is 3,000 Kelvin. Halogen light, halogen light goes from 3,000 to 4,500, depending which model and which power. For example, the H11 is 3,100, and the H4 is about 4,500. So it changes from one to the other, but overall it gives you a better idea of what kind of color it gives you on the output. Well, Putco doesn't really do headlights anymore because they've been sued by the DOT in the U.S., so they have issues in the U.S. for their bulbs.
They sell them up here, though.
Sorry?
They sell them up here.
They still sell them. So as you can see, I've just took that one as an example. Putco is a really known company too. It's a reputable company, and as you can see, their lumens rating are really low too. So when you're comparing a Putco, for example, with an ODX, that one is like 5,000 lumens, which is a pretty good model that is actually outpowering a lot of bulbs on the Amazon market. So when you see out the legit companies and you see like the ratings are really lower, it doesn't mean like the 20,000 are going to be brighter. It just means that they're advertising whatever they want, and that's pretty much it. So it gives you a better idea. And when a lot of customers are looking for lumen when they buy a bulb, they don't look for quality or bulb alignment or chip alignment or anything. So they're not aware of all this. But when you're comparing to Amazon bulbs at $36, then that one's like twice the power. I'll try it out, and after a week or two, they come back to you and they're just going to buy something else because it doesn't light up properly in front of the vehicle. So that's a really good thing to know as a dealer and as like a counter clerk or helper service department. It's the lumens rating doesn't mean a lot.
Just like amplifiers for us.
Exactly,
6,000
totally.
amplifier when actually-
When you're looking at a Sony Explode, which is rated like 1,000 watts, and it's a 10 amp fuse on it, so that's exactly the same thing. Yeah.
Isn't it true on the cheaper stuff too that they've got like burn-in issues and
Honestly,
color temperature
I won't say
change?
that all of the one online are cheap or are not good, because there's good quality bulbs sold on Amazon, on eBay. It just depends of the quality of the one that you're picking. So you're just flipping a coin and hoping it's not going to burn out your computer. Because when it's a fan-driven bulb like the Intense series, there's something in the bulb that needs to be in. It's a protective diode. When the fan is powered up by the bulb, then it cools down the bulb. When you're turning off the key, the fan still spins, and the spinning of the fan generate powers, and powers, if there's no protection diode inside of the bulb, the power goes out of the bulb as a generator and goes to the computer or to whatever it's plugged into. So we had a company had a lot of issues in Eastern Canada, and they were selling to a lot of BRP dealers, and they had a lot of issues with Outlanders, the ATVs from Can-Am, and they were burning out computers at $1,200. So the power that the fan was generating was burning out the transistor in the computer. So you had to change the whole computer for a bulb that you changed from Amazon. So finally, at the end of the day, you better pick a good company that has at least that has insurances, or it is based out of Canada or US. If you're buying something from China, well, just cross your finger and hope everything's good, because there's nothing you can do about it. So that's an example of the website, the new RMA website landing page. So you'll have the consumer side and the dealer side at the bottom. Dealer is going to be distributor on your site too if you want to have an account done. How it's done, either consumer or dealer, there's two things. You need to take a picture of before and a picture of after the bulb get destroyed. So we want to get a picture of the bulb cut in half or burnt out, or you do whatever you want as long as it's not usable anymore. So you just fill in. That's the customer part. So customer needs picture before, picture after, and the invoice, because we want to know the bulbs are a lifetime warranty as long as you own the vehicle. Same thing as Moog suspension, Walker exhaust, as long as you own the vehicle. So if you buy a vehicle used and there's ODX on it, sadly it's not warranty. You can buy maybe only one to make it fit. It's a burn headlight, but it's only going to be warranty for the one that bought the bulbs from the counter directly. So that's the customer side. If you switch, okay, it's supposed to be a video. The video's not there.
So question for you then.
Yep.
So because we are on the retail side, we're taking over B&B and pretty much probably certified radio sales. Their customers come into us with their ODX bulb.
Yep.
With their receipt.
Yep. You either have two choices. Well, three on your side. You could give them. We have like the small display that we're going to be offering to all of the dealers that are selling ODX. So if someone comes in, and even the dealers that used to sell ODX but doesn't want to sell it because they used to do business with B&B and they don't want to do it, honestly, at that time of the day, we only made one day out west, but all of them will still like order ODX and wants to go forward because they all love the company. And the only two things that they didn't like was the warranty problem issues that they had and the back orders that they had. That's the only two things that came up to us. Honestly, no. One dealer talked about the multi-series, which is the one we had prior to the Brid, and we had a couple of issues with H11s that was burning out a bit more, but that's the only issue that came out today for the whole day. We spent our day for like 8 or 10 dealers. That's what we've done during the day, and that's the only two things that came out to all of them. So they're gonna have that paper thing here, so you can actually just take one. It's the same size as a business card, and they can give it to the customer, so they don't have anything to do, or they can service a customer if they want to and have it replaced at their place. If for any reason an auto part wants to make prior exchange, let's say the customer comes in and he wants to just make sure he has a bulb and he wants to exchange, no problem at all. If the dealer claims it, he's gonna have the new one and put it back in stock. The only thing is on the consumer part of it, we're trying to see if there's a way to have it done, but honestly we try to push customers to dealers because we want them to buy something else. We want them to buy like an amplifier or a radio or whatever people sells there. But it's something that we're going to be looking at later on.
And if they don't have a receipt?
Honestly, it needs to be, that's the only thing. That's a bad thing. If you don't have a receipt, try to call where you bought them from. Usually, legally in Canada, it's 5 years. So federal government asks you to get the invoices for 5 years. So if it's the 5 year that you're there, you should be able to get the receipt back from the place you bought the bulbs from. Usually when the one that calls in and doesn't have a receipt, usually they're starting by telling us, I lost my receipt, and then I don't remember where I bought them. So you bought a set of light at $200 and you don't know where you bought them. So that's kind of tricky there when we get the calls in. And at the end of the story, like 15 minutes after, well, I bought the car from my older brother and it was a car that he bought at like a used car dealer shop and bulbs were on. So at the beginning, they always try to say like I bought them, but finally, it's not there. So usually it needs the invoice. When it goes to a dealer, we don't ask for the invoice for a dealer. So if it's one of your good customers and it's an ODX bulb and he claims it, we're not going to do anything about it. Usually we kind of trust our dealers, and if it's a good customer, we're not going to tell anything about it. And if the original owner would still have it, we would warranty it. So it's not a big issue. But for the consumer part of it, then it needs the receipt 100%. Yep.
That's about it?
Yeah.
Which was the series that we were carrying under the ProWorks line?
The OE series, which is a Spark series.
Well, we had another one that had
The OE series. Then you had the X3, which is like the old hybrid. So before the hybrid, we had the multi. Yeah, that's the X3. We've called it the X3 about I would say 4 or 5 years ago. 5 to 6 years ago. Then we switched over to the multi on our side, and then we switched over to the hybrid series. So it's the predecessor of the hybrid series, and then you had the Projektor series, which is the exact same one. So that's why when Marc-André said we're the only one that has it, no, we are the second one because ProWorks has it, but ProWorks was also ODX, so we are the only one that has it. So that's the only the Projektor one that a lot of people are nowadays most of the cars are all projectors. So 2017, 18 and newers are all projector headlights. So there's still a big market to be replaced. Like LED headlights are, a matter of fact, coming in through all the companies and it's not replaceable bulbs. So it's like there's something burned out. You need to replace the whole housing, and you can't change the bulb. But most of them, for example, we got a couple of Ford dealers around here that we visited today, and all the fog lights are still halogen. So you're selling a car with headlights that are LED, and then your fog lights are yellow. So they're all replacing the fog lights for all of their new cars before selling them. So they're installing the Spark series. So it looks the same thing as the headlights. It doesn't need to light up as much. But if someone wants a bit more kick, then the hybrid's going to be also suitable for fog lights and going to be brighter too. When you're installing a hybrid and a fog light, usually you need to turn them off when you're crossing someone. Actually, you're not supposed to drive with your fog lights on if it's not foggy outside. I don't know regulations here, but in Eastern Canada, if you do, you could get fined. Nobody does. No police officer stops you because your fog lights are on. But it should be only on when it's foggy or rainy outside. When you're installing hybrid, it's way more powerful. So you could be blinding upcoming traffic because it lights up a lot in front of the vehicle. But usually, most of the Spark series are used for the fog lights.
Is the bulk of the business going to be done in hybrid?
I would say 65-70% is the hybrid series. On our side, the good thing too is auto parts, if they stock the hybrid, it could be anywhere. Fog lights, high beam, low beam. So it could be one bulb that makes all. So if they want to stock something and have something in stock to sell right over the counter, hybrid's the one to start with. After the hybrid, I would say the Projektor series, because it's the new one and the hybrid is not compatible with projectors. So if the headlight's a projector, then you need a Projektor series, And then the Intense series is more out of like for the guy looking for performance, looking for as much power as possible. Then the Intense series, that one. And the Spark's mainly for garages, auto parts that sells replacement halogen lights. That's mainly the market for those. So Oki tires or all those small small garage, that's the main sellers for them.
That Ford fog light thing is a really good idea.
Yeah, fog light for Ford. A lot of companies. Mazda 3 is the same thing. Well, Mazda 3 and Ford are kind of sleeping together, but yeah, it's there's a lot of brands.
They
Not
have been
anymore?
Since 2011.
Really?
Yes,
Ah,
2011.
I thought it was still again.
No.
But
They just visit each other on the holidays.
Yeah.
yeah, that may be it. But yeah,
Great,
yeah.
Max,
So
thank you very, very much.
there's a lot of technical
Max for
stuff.
most of it.
You can tell the passion that's coming out in you guys.
Yeah.
We kind of know the products a lot. I know it a lot because I've been designing those things since about 6 years and a half. Like, just to give you a quick heads up, like the Hybrid series, the founder of the company, Underground Design, was named Eric Belek. So he passed away 3 years ago in an RV accident. So he had what do you call it? Traversier.
Like
a boat that goes from one
line up from one coast to the other coast.
Yeah, I don't know
On
how
a
it's
boat,
called.
you travel with your
Yeah.
car.
Ferry,
yeah.
exactly, yeah. So he was in Quebec, and he was getting down a hill, and he lost the brake, and the ferry just left over, so the door just went up, and the RV just went up like 60 feet in the air, and he passed away that day. So we kind of made the hybrid, like, to give him like a shout out. So hybrid, instead of HY, it's EB for Eric Belek. So that's everything in the company is all like thought about it and marketing point of view, and that's mainly for our side. Just getting goosebumps talking about it, but yeah, it's
I met Eric.
yeah.
I used to work at Certified. So
Okay.
when they had this, so I met Eric and everything like that.
Yeah.
And when I heard about it, it was pretty crazy.
I was working with Eric since Eric. I've been racing in drift competition in Eastern Canada for a couple of years, and Eric was the owner of the series. So I've met him like I would say 15 years ago. We started developing the LEDs on the corner of a counter while like drinking a beer, and he was like, "I'm pissed off of HIDs. I don't want to sell HIDs anymore. It's always a pain to deal with the comebacks and everything." And we kind of started there. And since I wasn't a mechanic and I was in the domain since a lot of years, I've kind of got into it with him, and that's where we kind of started there, and it went where it is today. Yeah, pretty sure he would be proud of the company today. So where it's at right now. Yeah,
Pretty sure too.
any questions? Just starts like finish cold a bit, no?
Safe travels, you got a long ways to go.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah, kind of.